Welcome to the second part of the Week 7 presentation. We will start off looking at the Project Management Office, also referred to as PMO. You may question what the Project Management Office is, and the definition of the Project Management Office is on this slide. It is an organization component that oversees and coordinates multiple projects, provides support resources and services, and establishes project processes and procedures. To go into more detail related to this definition of a project management office, I will address each one of the components identified. The first part of the definition indicates that this is an organization component that oversees and coordinates multiple projects. This office can help resolve priority conflicts between projects and can facilitate decisions regarding priority among projects in terms of least overall risk to the company and customer relationships, especially if the company has other current or proposed projects for a given customer. The second component or aspect of the definition is providing support services and resources. This can be done in a number of different ways, but a great example would be the project management office ensuring that the project team is afforded training or is afforded additional administrative staff to help support the team during the course of the project. Lastly, the project management office establishes the project processes and procedures. The project management office can establish procedures that govern how projects will be planned, monitored, and controlled. They can also develop best practices as well as act as a storage for archived documents and the knowledge base for the lessons learned on current and previous projects. A project management office is typically found in the matrix organizational structure. In the next couple of slides, we will explore the matrix organizational structure as well as the other two organizational structures that exist. There are three types of project organizational structures. The first is a functional structure. The second is the autonomous structure and the matrix structure. To give you an overview of each structure, we will look at them individually. The first structure is the functional organizational structure. This involves individuals organized in groups that perform the same function or have the same expertise or skills. These teams are formed from existing staff within an organization and they work on internal projects. The project managers do not have complete authority over the project staff because they are still under the span of control of their immediate manager. The team members selected for the projects within this type of organization come from varying departments. The project they are working on may be assigned as a temporary full-time or part-time responsibility. In most cases, the project team members continue to perform their regular functional jobs while they serve part-time on the project team. The next project organizational structure we will look at is the autonomous project organizational structure. This is where the project operates as its own independent entity with dedicated resources assigned solely to each project. The autonomous project organizational structure is also referred to as the projectized organizational structure. This name was given based on the organization's operations. This type of organization does not produce standard products. The organization specializes in project work. The individuals hired as project team members are dedicated to certain projects. They are hired based on their specific skill set, and as projects end, if their skill set is not needed, they may be laid off. If their expertise or skills are needed for a future project, there are chances that the project team member or members may be reassigned to another project. The team members assigned to work on these projects are assigned full-time. The project even has a full-time project manager who has full authority over the project team. Autonomous project organizational structures are primarily found in companies that are involved in very large projects. Such projects can be of high dollar value and long durations. The last organizational structure we will look at is the matrix organizational structure. This structure is a hybrid of the functional and autonomous project organizational structures in which resources from appropriate functional components are temporarily assigned to particular projects that have project managers from the project component of the organization. In this structure, team members are working on multiple projects at one time. These projects can vary in size. They could go from very complex projects to very simple projects. They could very well be large projects or small projects. As team members complete their tasks on the various projects, they are then moved to other projects. This allows for there to be professional development. In this setting, the project manager is a liaison between the company and the customer. In this sense, the project manager defines what has to be done, by when, and for how much money. With this structure, there is another piece that plays into how the objectives are going to be met and how we're going to satisfy the customer. We must consider the role of the functional manager. This is the individual who will be responsible for how the work is assigned and who will accomplish or complete each task. In a matrix organization, this individual will provide technical guidance and leadership to the project team members under their span of control. The functional manager also has the responsibility of making sure all of the activities have been completed according to the specifications identified by the customer. This includes any quality requirements, budgetary requirements, and schedule requirements. As you can see, each one of the organizational structures had its own unique attributes. We will now explore the pros and cons of each organization. We will start off looking at the functional structure. The pros to the functional structure are the activities are not duplicated. There's functional excellence. The cons are the response is not timely and the structure is not customer centered. The functional structure allows for individuals with the knowledge and skills of a particular discipline to be able to communicate and keep up with the most current information related to their discipline. Unfortunately, there are drawbacks to the functional structure. The composition of the structure allows for slow communication, problem resolution, and decision making. Additionally, in this structure, there is more of an allegiance to the actual function than to the overall project or the customer the project is being completed for. In the autonomous structure, there is a more customer-centered approach. There's better management of resources, but on the flip side, there's a lack of knowledge regarding the projects, and the project team members in the organization are inept with the cost of the project. Since the project team members work directly for the project manager, he or she has full control over what they're doing and how they spend their time. Since they're only working on a project at a time, there aren't any other conflicts, and all the resources can be dedicated strictly to that project. The customer is the focus, and the project manager is responsive to any of the customer's demands or requests. In this structure, the project manager can reassign resources to accommodate the customer's demands as he or she sees fit. In this environment, there is not a lot of knowledge transfer due to the project team members being hired specifically to work on a particular project. If their expertise is no longer needed for future projects, they are literally out of a job. The team members do not have a functional home to serve as a source of shared functional expertise and knowledge. And once the project is completed, their services are no longer needed. The autonomous structure is inefficient as it relates to cost because it underutilizes its resources. There are times when the work is slow and the team members don't have enough work in order to fill up the amount of time they have available. As a result, team members try to stretch their responsibilities. For example, taking a 1 week activity, stretching it out into 2 or 3 weeks, causing project costs to increase. Another factor affecting cost inefficiency is the potential lack of opportunity for cost efficiencies from leveraging activities with other concurrent projects. For example, if project teams from several projects ordered their materials and supplies jointly instead of independently, they might be able to get better prices from vendors. Lastly, we'll look at the pros and cons of the matrix structure. Pros: the structure makes great use of its resources, great knowledge transfer, great communication, and is customer centered. Issues with this structure are the need for balance of power and multiple reporting managers. This structure actually capitalizes off of the advantages or pros presented by the functional and autonomous project structures. If you recall from the previous slides, I discussed how the project manager and the functional manager both have a role in the matrix structure. Having access to both of these managers actually eliminates the issue of communication, problem identification, and conflict resolution that was presented in the functional structure. The project team members have double access to managers who can provide input or help address issues that arise while the project is going through its life cycle. This approach is customer centered. The project manager is responsible for the customer, and the functional manager is responsible for making sure the units are set up to support the projects. The transfer of knowledge is evident in this environment. Individuals can collaborate on projects with the project team members and then take that knowledge back to their functional work environment. The disadvantages to this environment is there needs to be a balance between the power possessed by the project manager and the functional manager. This imbalance of power can result in conflict, which may not be resolved in a manner that will be in the best interest of either the customer or the company. The conflict that can arise between the project manager and the functional manager can be related to priorities, the assignment of specific individuals to projects, technical approaches to the work, and changes to the project. In the matrix structure, the implementation of operating guidelines should be established to assure proper balance of power between the project manager and functional manager. This concludes the week 7 presentation for BU345 project management. If you have any questions related to the content of the presentations for this week, please seek the advisement of your instructor.